Good morning, Bitcoiners. It is Daniel from the Bitcoin Citadel. Summer's over here in the northeast of the good old USA, and I'm not posting daily videos, but I thought I'd check in today. I decided to come out to the lake, check out the old spot, see how things were. It's pretty awesome out here, I gotta tell you. Just like it is in Bitcoin. Things are heating up, my friends. We have a spam war going on. We have Bitcoin treasury companies under attack. It's very exciting. I just drove from Minneapolis, Minnesota, back home, and I drove through Canada. We crossed in Sault Ste. Marie, which I did probably 25 years ago when I first moved from California to Vermont, and it was pretty awesome back then. It's changed a lot in 25 years though. I really when my wife and I moved from California 25 years ago, we just packed all our stuff up in our car and drove across country. We didn't have any. Neither of us had a job lined up. We did have an apartment lined up, so that was something, right? And that was a big transition for us. But I wasn't really paying attention when we drove through Canada, because we did the same thing last time. We crossed at Sault and we drove across into Quebec and then came down into Vermont. And we had a great time, but I wasn't really paying that much attention. I wasn't paying as much attention to Canada as I was this time when I drove across with my son. What we did is we drove from Minneapolis to Marquette, Michigan, which is right on Lake Superior. We stayed in a cool little motel there, the Cedar Inn, I want to say. It was really cool. It was I told him we wanted to stay in Schitt's Creek motels all the way back. That was our goal, right? And this place definitely was, a cool retro motel, right? There was a biker group there. They had a pool. It was cool little retro 50s rooms with the old. Well, they weren't the old kind of telephones, but they were kind of like a kitschy push button version of the old telephones. He really got a kick out of it. So did I. And we stopped at Lake Superior on the way. We met a couple that lived there with their dog. And I had my suit on. He didn't have his suit on. I didn't have my towel. So I didn't swim in the lake, which I regret now. We were just getting the day started. I didn't want to be wet all day long, But Lake Superior is something. It was funny. We were talking about them. We're talking to these folks about the last time we drove across. And we stopped in Lake Michigan at the Dunes Park, super cool. We stopped in Lake Erie. We at a really cool place there too. We were telling them about it, and they're like, oh, it's obvious from their expressions that those were lakes inferior, not Lake Superior. Lake Superior is something though. That little beach we stopped at in Marquette, the water's crystal clear. It's just beautiful. I could definitely go back there and spend more time. So we crossed into Canada, Sault Ste. Marie in the United States. We stopped and got gas there because, you're not going to buy gas in Canada if you can avoid it. And talked to the guy at the gas station. My son's embarrassed by me. He used to be more so, but now he's always, because I talk to everybody, I like to learn a little bit about the places I'm going through. So I'm talking to the dude who's behind the counter, and he was talking about how Sault Ste. Marie and Canada and the United States used to be the Twin Cities. And then after 9/11, it's split up and it's never been the same. And I actually drove across the first time before 9/11 and this time after 9/11. And it really is true, because Sault Ste. Marie on the Canadian side is kind of a shithole. There's you can tell there's a lot of poverty. There's a lot of drug abuse. It's fallen on tough times, because I don't remember that at all from 25 years ago. And again, I wasn't paying much attention. We were young. We were excited about getting from where we were going to, in California, to where we were going to land in Vermont. But I was paying attention this time. It's tough there. So we drive from Sioux all the way through to, we didn't stop in Montreal, but we drove south of it and then into Vermont. And it's really one road. I didn't realize that. One road, Route 17, boom, straight through. And you get out, you drive, and then you get to a town. You have to slow down, and you guys got to fix your speed limits in Canada. Come on, right? 90 kilometers an hour? That's ridiculous. So we're driving across, you get to a town, you drive through the town, you slow down, you need to stop or go through, and that repeats over and over again. And I'm thinking to myself as we're getting closer and closer to Ottawa, because we had a long day. We pushed all the way to, I think it was Pembroke, which is right outside of Ottawa, is where we spent the night. And I'm like thinking to myself, the last time we were in Ottawa, when my son and I came up, I was a chaperone on a school trip. And then my wife and I came, we played a disc golf tournament in Otway, which is on the other side of Ottawa. You drive in to Ottawa from the east, and you just go into the town. The highway ends, and you're like in the town. And I'm like, wow, that's weird, because in the United States, for a city that size, the highways always kind of leaf around. You know, there's a way you can go through the town without actually being on the surface streets. And I was like, that's kind of weird. And I actually mentioned it to my wife, and it was one of those things like, I wonder why that is. But now I realize from coming from west to east that that's just how it is on Route 17. You cruise into the town, right? Right, the surface street goes right through the town. And it's the same exact thing with Ottawa. It's just a bigger town, right? Ottawa became a really big town, but 17 still just goes right through it. You know what I mean? Montreal is different. Montreal has, is more like a United States city with the way the highways and byways are. But I thought that was cute about Ottawa. So Ottawa is just the big town on Route 17, which is so Canadian, and I loved it. We had a great time in Canada. We sure did, Most of it was just driving, grinding, but we had a great conversation and all that kind of stuff. Talked about Bitcoin. My son is now officially a Bitcoiner, so that's, how awesome is that, right? There's a loon trying to take off. I don't know if you guys can see it right behind me. That was great. We had so many great conversations. And now he's, home for a couple weeks before he jets off to Vienna for his Fulbright year. He's going to teach English in Vienna for a year, which he's really looking forward to. So that's awesome. For me, we are officially launching the Bitcoin Citadel. We're going to try to make a splash with it on September 30th. So I'm working on that this month. I think I may post a couple videos like this. Maybe I'll do Friday mornings, I haven't decided. I don't have a plan like I did for the summer. So Bitcoin Citadel, the big launch will be on September 30th. And what I'm going to do with the Bitcoin Citadel is we've already started a school, Bitcoin Citadel School, SKOOL. We're going to have a great deal for people to join it. So if you want to do that, most of the people who watch this video probably are going to, will know about it anyway through other channels. But we're going to have a school. I'm going to be the guy who's going to post videos about sovereign computing, because I'm a geek, man. I don't talk much about it here, but I'm going to talk about sovereign computing. I'm going to set up a Start9 server. I kind of need to get a Start9 backup server, because remember, you got to back it up and you got to test the restores. If you're going to be a sovereign, if you're going to, manage your own, not cloud, but your own sovereign computing life with, everything there, not just a Bitcoin node, right? You need to be able to back up and restore your own data, right? So that journey will be documented by me in the school, and I'll have classes in there, and some of them are going to just be introductory things that anyone can join. And I'll, when I do these little videos, I'll let you know about that. I'll have exclusive content in the school. Probably won't be the wacky stuff that I did for Citadel Summer, but that was just me trying to figure things out. My son and I talked a lot about, Alex Hormozy's story about, throwing pots in the class that got graded on the one perfect pot that they submitted at the end of the semester, and the group that got graded on just the sheer quantity of pots that they threw for the class. And I think that, like he says, the group that threw the pots all the time and got graded on the quantity, the quality of the pots was far superior to the group that only submitted one pot. So Citadel Summer was all about throwing pots, learning how to create content. I will be creating shorts out of the Citadel Summer stuff. That's one of the things I want to do. Bitcoin Citadel, we're going to make it a real business. So we're going to kick this mofo off, right? We're going to get the school. We're going to start producing content. And I have been talking to people. So even with this rando thing I've done so far this summer, people have been connecting with me, and I have been talking to folks about things like, Bitcoin sovereignty, going from where you are now to being a truly sovereign holder of your own keys, and really owning your own Bitcoin. And that's really what my mission is. As you guys know, if you've watched my channel, I'm retiring from my fiat wage slave job in June of next year. I'm totally looking forward to it. I've only had 10 anxiety attacks about it so far, but it's getting better as I move forward. So that's me in a nutshell, what I've been doing. I have been tracking the core versus knots debate. I'm not a hardcore person. I do fall on the side of mechanic and the keeping the op returns the same, size they are now, just to give you guys some information about where I fall. This morning, Adam Back had a Twitter series of Twitter posts. I haven't read all of them. That looks like he's going to fall on the side of the mechanic, with not, allowing the larger op return size. So that's good news. I haven't read all about it yet. The other thing in Bitcoin that I'm super interested in, you guys might know, I love the Bitcoin Wizard. And he's talking a lot about MicroStrategy and MetaPlanet and how folks have been shorting them. And don't give up your MicroStrategy and MetaPlanet positions if you have them, right? That's all I'm going to say. Even just a stacker, a humble stacker like me, I have a small position in MicroStrategy, and really probably that's all I'll do. But it is an interesting play, especially for people who want to be able to leverage, who are getting into Bitcoin. They think they're getting in late and they want to take some leverage and take a chance. I would say that's probably a pretty good chance to take if you're going to take chances. Not financial advice. You know me. Acquire, hold. That's me. Boring. The other thing that I'm super interested in is, I can't remember his name, but the guy who does barefoot mining, who's talking about the evolution of Bitcoin mining. And I've been in my mind combining his analysis, right, of how Bitcoin mining works and how it's being centralized, and how actually block space, sovereign nations and corporations are going to try to get a stranglehold on block space and getting transactions into the Bitcoin blockchain. Super fascinating. I think it's really worth paying attention to. I'll find the link to the What Bitcoin Did interview that I'm in the middle of right now. It was just released a couple weeks ago, I think. And it's super fascinating. I've only seen a couple videos with this guy, and I wish I could remember his name. By the time I post this, I'll have his name, and I'll post it in there. Super fascinating, totally worthwhile to listen to. I combine that idea with Dhruv Bansal from Unchained Capital's idea of the marketplace for Bitcoin mining, where we have a layer 0, where all of the miners compete by burning electricity, basically, for getting the block. And then there's a transaction marketplace on top of that, where people compete with mining fees to get their transactions into the blockchain. And I'm synthesizing these two ideas now in my mind because I think it's super, super important. You know, Bitcoin is gonna. It's not a fait accompli, my friends. You know, the protocol was elegantly designed to work in the real world. You know, for people who are greedy and selfish and self-centered and just want to get a piece of the number go up, right? And it's playing out in real time. And I hope you have your popcorn because it's going to be exciting for the next 15 years. Okay, it's going to be very exciting. Anyway, sun's up. Nolan Bowerly, Bitcoin is running. I hope to have this posted before your show comes on at around 9 o'clock, probably a little bit later because Roxham takes a while to. Yesterday, you know, all the guys guys and gals from the Wake Up Gang were sitting there waiting for Nolan to pop on, and you can watch the Roxham stream, and you know that, you know, until the previous show is over, they usually run a stop set between the shows, so you know they'll run the commercials, and then Nolan comes on. But this gal from London just went way over. You know, it was like 10 after 9 Eastern time, and this gal's still doing her thing and you know, asking questions. It was a really good interview actually, but she's asking questions to the person she was interviewing. And she wasn't slowing down. Finally, someone must have you know, said something in her ear. She's like, "Oh, we're done. We got to wrap this up. The next show's coming on. It's you know, the Great Awakening with Nolan Bowerly." And I was like, "Oh yeah, here we go." And then Nolan popped on. So I want to try to get this posted by 9 o'clock Eastern time. We'll see if that happens because I still haven't done my little exercise routine. I still haven't done the cold plunge. It's getting more and more challenging, my friends, because it's not summer anymore. Anyway, that was a quick check-in. It's not part of any playlist. It's just maybe I'll do Friday mornings. I don't know. Well, I'm taking it easy, you know. That was a lot of work to do the 68 mornings of Citadel summer. And now I'm free and easy, right? I'm just between things. That's where I am. Anyway, I'll talk to you again soon. Peace.